It was a chilly November morning in 1983 at Heathrow Airport, London. 6 armed men, unrelenting and determined, broke into what seemed to be an impenetrable fortress, the Brinks-Mat Security Depot. Little did they know they were about to stumble upon a treasure trove worth a mind-blowing £26 million in gold bullion, diamonds, and cash. But this wasn't just another heist. No, this was a seismic event that would shake the very foundations of the British criminal underworld, cementing its place as one of the most significant heists in history. In this thrilling episode, we're not just recounting a robbery. We're peeling back layers of intrigue, daring, and mystery, uncovering a cursed treasure. We're diving deep into the heart of the Brinks-Mat robbery, exploring how the robbers executed their audacious plan, the curse that followed, and the biggest enigma of all, the fate of the looted gold. Was there an insider? What is the true cost of ill-gotten wealth? Stay tuned and make sure to watch until the very end. The 1980s marked a time of significant change in London. Old industries, street scenes, and familiar ways of life made way for a new era, one shaped by the often divisive politics of the time. Towering banks and ambitious skyline structures began to dominate the city, serving as symbols of its aspirations and progress. But this era of transformation was about to face a monumental setback, the notorious Brinks-Mat heist. The calm nights of the city were violently disrupted when news of the audacious robbery spread like wildfire. This wasn't just an attack on a major estate. It wounded the community's sense of security and is now regarded as a pivotal moment in British crime. The Brinks-Mat warehouse, located in Unit 7 of the HEO estate, became the epicenter of this crime, a large warehouse space with a parking lot and first-floor offices. Understanding this backdrop is key as we delve into the specifics of the heist. On the cold morning of November 26, 1983, around 6:30 a.m., 5 security guards stood vigil outside the high-security warehouse near Heathrow, eagerly awaiting the opening of the automatic security shutters. These guards were employees of Brinks-Mat, a company renowned for the global transportation of valuable goods. Unit 7, the focal point of the warehouse, housed a reinforced concrete vault secured with 11 locks and 5 alarms. At the time, this vault was considered one of the most secure facilities on the planet. Around 6:40 a.m., a South London gang led by Brian Robinson and Mickey McAvoy breached the warehouse, expecting to make off with £3 million in cash. This cash was anticipated due to inside help from Anthony Black, a Brinks-Mat security guard who lived with Robinson's sister. Black, leaking inside information, revealed the location of the cash stash to the robbers. Armed with submachine guns, shotguns, and other firearms, the gang also had walkie-talkies and a Ford Transit van sourced from the black market to help execute the heist. Fake IDs and a nearby warehouse were used to stash the stolen goods. With Black's assistance, the robbers overpowered the security guards, bound them, and threatened them with their firearms. Black identified the senior guards with access to the vault, where 3 safes were located. However, their plan to seize £3 million in cash went awry when a nervous guard couldn't recall a portion of the vault's code. Frustrated, the robbers started to explore the vault and stumbled upon a windfall. More than 3 tons of gold bullion, packed into over 70 cardboard boxes, with nearly 7,000 gold bars. These bars were the property of Johnson Matthey, one of the UK's biggest bullion dealers. What started as an expected £3 million cash grab transformed into a staggering £26 million haul, with not only gold but £100,000 worth of diamonds, both cut and uncut, destined for the Far East. When they opened the safes, it became clear that transporting multiple tons of gold was no small task. What was supposed to be a quick smash and grab evolved into a drawn-out operation, with gang members scrambling to find better transportation for the massive loot. The robbers employed the warehouse's forklift to load the gold into their van, spending nearly 2 hours clearing out the vault. By 8:15 a.m., they were ready to leave. At 8:30 a.m., a guard finally managed to raise the alarm. As they fled, one of the robbers, ironically, wished the security guards a Merry Christmas. Approximately 15 minutes after the robbers fled, one of the staff members managed to free himself from his handcuffs and immediately alerted the police. Scotland Yard's flying squad, under the leadership of Chief Commander Frank Carr, took charge of the investigation. They were determined to track down the thieves. 2 days after the heist, a couple in Bath, Somerset, noticed a hot crucible smoldering on their neighbor's property. Concerned that it might be linked to the bullion robbery, they contacted the police. When authorities arrived, they acknowledged the information but dismissed it as beyond their jurisdiction, reassuring the couple that the details would be passed on. Strangely, the couple was never asked to provide a statement or give evidence in court. The police's failure to act swiftly on this lead would later prove to be a significant missed opportunity in the investigation. Given the sheer audacity and the sophisticated nature of the operation, the police quickly honed in on 2 primary suspects, Mickey McAvoy and Brian Robinson. Both had been loud about their involvement in a rumored inside job. Robinson was already known to the police, and McAvoy was recognized as one of South London's most notorious armed robbers. The police also began to suspect that the gang had inside help. Their focus shifted to Anthony Black, who had arrived late to work the day of the heist, missing the entire event. As the investigation unfolded, the robbers now faced a new challenge: selling the gold they had stolen. For that, they turned to crime boss Kenneth Noy, who had the necessary connections to help them offload their loot. Noy's contact, John Palmer, a former director of a gold and jewelry dealing company near Bristol, played a pivotal role in devising a plan to convert the highly pure gold into cash without attracting suspicion. Noy enlisted an accomplice in Hatton Garden to remove the serial numbers from the gold bars. These bars were then carefully smuggled in small batches to Palmer, who had a smelting operation set up in his home near Bath. Palmer melted the gold down, blending it with lower quality metals, and then sent it out for sale on legitimate exchanges. To further avoid suspicion, Noy made a legitimate purchase of 11 gold bars in Jersey, complete with the required paperwork. The smelted gold was then sent to a Sheffield assay office for official approval, making the process look unrelated to the robbery and deflecting any potential inquiries. The stolen gold from the Brinks-Mat heist was subsequently sold on the black market, making its traceability nearly impossible. Around £13 million worth of gold was disposed of using this method. However, the movement of such a substantial sum of money through a local bank soon drew the attention of Bank of England surveillance operations, which focused on known criminals, especially after £3 million was withdrawn from a single Bristol bank branch. As the investigation intensified, the police began to connect the dots. Brian Robinson, nicknamed the Colonel, had already caught the attention of law enforcement, while Mickey McAvoy was known as one of South London's most prolific armed robbers. Recognizing that the gang had inside information, the police turned their attention to Anthony Black, a Brinks-Mat security guard who had arrived late to work on the day of the heist, thus missing the entire event. The connection to Robinson's sister led to a quick confession by Black, who revealed the names of the newly wealthy McAvoy and Robinson. McAvoy and Robinson soon drew attention to themselves by moving from modest South London council houses to a lavish estate in Kent, all paid for in cash. Rumors circulated that McAvoy had purchased 2 Rottweiler dogs to guard his mansion, humorously naming them Brinks and Matt, showing a complete lack of remorse. Once Black revealed the names of the robbers, the police arrested Robinson in December 1983. Following the arrest of Robinson, the authorities turned their attention to Mickey McAvoy, who was arrested next. The Bank of England also took notice of the substantial movement of funds through a Bristol bank, which triggered alerts from authorities. Kenneth Noy, the crime boss involved in the operation, came under police surveillance as well. After the arrests of all the suspects, the trial began, leading to a series of astonishing events. In 1985, undercover officer D.C. John Forum was stabbed 10 times by Noy after he discovered him hiding on his large Kent estate while under surveillance. Despite being arrested for murder, Noy convinced the jury that the stabbing was in self-defense and was acquitted. However, during a subsequent search of his estate, 11 gold bars worth £100,000 were found. In 1986, Noy was found guilty of handling the Brinks-Mat gold and sentenced to 14 years in prison, though he only served 7 years before being released in 1994. 2 years later, he committed another murder in a road rage incident on the M25, which led to his extradition from Spain and a conviction for Stephen Cameron's murder, resulting in a life sentence. Robinson, arrested in December 1983, received a 25-year prison sentence, while Stephen Black, who had confessed to aiding the robbers by letting them into the building, was sentenced to 6 years in prison. McAvoy received the same jail term as Robinson for armed robbery, in an attempt to strike a deal with prosecutors by returning his share of the robbery proceeds. McAvoy found that the money had already disappeared. In 1995, McAvoy was held accountable for the money stolen in the Brinks-Mat Heist by the High Court, which ordered him to pay £27 million. The incident involving the smoldering crucible, initially reported by a vigilant couple 2 days after the heist but ignored by the police, led to a significant development a year later. Authorities conducted a raid on the residence where the crucible was located, and John Palmer, involved in disposing of the stolen gold, was arrested. However, Palmer successfully argued in court that he was unaware the gold he handled belonged to Brinks-Mat, and was cleared of all charges. In 2001, Palmer faced a different legal battle. Convicted of fraud tied to a pyramid scheme, and sentenced to 8 years in prison for defrauding 20,000 people of £30 million. Despite an estimated fortune of £300 million at the time of his conviction, Palmer served only half of his prison term before declaring bankruptcy in 2005, with debts totaling £3.5 million. In 2007, he faced fraud charges in Spain, spending 2 years in custody before being released on bail. Gordon Perry, involved in laundering the stolen gold bullion, was convicted in 1992 for handling stolen property and received a 9-year sentence. George Francis, another individual linked to the raid, also faced subsequent repercussions. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Brinks-Mat robbery lies in the identity of the robbers. While the 6 men who were arrested and convicted are widely believed to be just a small part of a more extensive criminal network, retrieving the stolen money proved to be a challenge. Despite police attempts to trace the money, the investigation faced obstacles due to a lack of witness cooperation and physical evidence. As the investigation unfolded, connections to organized crime and corrupt police officers emerged, leading to several high-profile convictions. In September 1985, a specialized team took charge of the case, focusing on Patrick Diamond. A raid on his financial services operations revealed he was laundering criminal cash through offshore companies. Although investigators couldn't immediately tie this money to the Brinks-Mat robbery, Diamond's leads prompted them to explore the British Virgin Islands, where an accountant was found to be orchestrating an extensive money laundering operation, handling hundreds of millions for various crime syndicates. One peculiar incident occurred less than a month after the robbery, when Austrian police arrested 5 men at a Vienna hotel. During the arrest, they discovered 10 bullion bars marked with serial numbers matching those stolen in the heist. However, the bars were not authentic gold, but rather gold-coated tungsten counterfeits. The arrested men were suspected of planning to falsely claim the fake bars as part of the Heathrow robbery. The counterfeiters' possession of unpublished bar serial numbers remained an unexplained mystery. By 1995, authorities had taken stringent measures. The assets of 57 individuals, including homes and even a Kansas oil well, were frozen. Insurers managed to recover £16 million, including £3 million from Kenneth Noy. In January 1995, the High Court issued a hefty order against McAvoy, compelling him to pay £27 million and holding him accountable for the entire stolen sum. Brian Robinson, although acquitted of robbery, faced a similar order in 1995, with the court mandating him to repay the stolen £26 million, plus £22.2 million in compensation, while his wife was directed to repay £1.1 million. By 2004, authorities had successfully recovered a staggering £25 million of the stolen gold, marking the end of a long and winding journey for the heist's illicit gains. But the shadow of the Brinks-Mat robbery continued to cast a dark cloud, as a bizarre and deadly series of events followed. The robbery would come to be known as the Curse of the Brinks-Mat Gold, as those connected to the heist often met violent and untimely ends. Kenneth Noy, one of the central figures, played a key role in recruiting individuals to melt down the gold. In 1985, Detective Constable John Forum and his team closed in on Noy, resulting in a fatal confrontation. Noy stabbed Forum 10 times during a scuffle, leading to the detective's death. Despite the brutality of the attack, Noy escaped a murder conviction, claiming it was an act of self-defense. However, justice eventually caught up with him. In 1986, Noy was sentenced to 14 years for conspiring to handle the stolen gold. But his story didn't end there. In 1996, he was convicted for the murder of Stephen Cameron, a 21-year-old motorist killed in a road rage incident. Noy received a life sentence for this crime, proving that the curse would follow him relentlessly. John Palmer, another key player in the Brinks-Mat saga, met a similar fate. In 2015, Palmer's death remained shrouded in mystery, with no resolution to the case. Tragedy continued to strike the investigative world, as private investigator Daniel Morgan was murdered in 1987. In 1990, Charlie Wilson, a participant in the infamous Great Train Robbery, was gunned down in his Marbella home after a large sum of Brinks-Mat money went missing. The list of victims continued to grow. In 1990, Nick Whiting, an associate of Noy, was found stabbed and shot in Essex. Keith Headley, another suspected associate, was gunned down in 1996. A jeweler named Nam, who had handled some of the stolen gold, met a grim fate in 1998 when he was shot outside his Hatton Garden residence. George Francis, a suspected member of the Brinks-Mat gang, was killed in 2003. Even Brian Perry, linked to the raid, suffered a similar fate when he was shot dead as he arrived for work, not far from where Francis had been killed. The bizarre and tragic pattern persisted, with each victim tied to the stolen gold. In a strange twist, the Brinks-Mat robbery's impact spread far beyond the world of criminals. The heist forced a reevaluation of airport security and exposed a complex web of organized crime, corrupt police, and money laundering. It also highlighted the way professional criminals had amassed enough wealth to invest in legitimate sectors, particularly the booming property market in London's Docklands area. The proceeds from the gold may have fueled this economic boom. Not only did the robbery shape financial and criminal landscapes, but it also contributed to the rise of the cocaine trade in the UK. The repercussions of the Brinks-Mat robbery were felt far and wide, pushing law enforcement to crack down on organized crime, implement stricter security measures, and reform police operations. But the saga of the Brinks-Mat gold heist didn't just change policies. It left a mark on the cultural and economic fabric of the country. Just 1 year after the heist, Johnson Matthey bankers, a key player in gold trading, faced a devastating crisis. In September 1984, the bank collapsed, with the Bank of England stepping in to take control. The losses exceeded $300 million, and investigators uncovered gaps in the bank's records, leading to an investigation by the fraud squad. In the years that followed, the impact of the Brinks-Mat robbery was felt across British society. Banks and institutions upgraded their security, while the police ramped up efforts to combat organized crime. The robbery became a pivotal moment in criminal history, inspiring films, books, and TV shows. The audacity of the heist, combined with its far-reaching consequences, cemented its place in British criminal lore. If you've purchased gold jewelry in the UK since 1984, you may unknowingly possess a piece of Brinks-Mat gold, as some of the stolen bullion was melted and recast into consumer products. This detail is a grim reminder of the far-reaching effects of the heist and the lasting legacy it left behind. The Brinks-Mat story also serves as a cautionary tale about the fragility of loyalty among thieves. Many of the criminals involved acted recklessly, spending their loot without foresight. On the other hand, the police struggled to apprehend those responsible and trace the stolen funds. The aftermath of the heist underscores the complexities and shortcomings on both sides, criminal and law enforcement, of this high-stakes crime. To this day, rumors persist that a significant portion of the stolen gold remains buried somewhere in southern England. It's said that the gold was hidden to protect it from greed and violence, and new generations of British gangsters continue to search for it. As they hunt, they are haunted by the violent legacy of the Brinks-Mat gold. Many fear that the bloody aftermath of this notorious heist is far from over, as the search for the hidden loot fuels ongoing conflicts and revenge. The Brinks-Mat saga is a chilling reminder of the far-reaching consequences of a single criminal act. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel.